don't start having conversations, asking questions in these uncertain times, how do we overcome the unknown? When your moments of today are controlled by your thoughts of tomorrow, when do the problems of yesterday catch up with your someday I'll take time and get around to it life? As we know it keeps changing. We search for answers and find new reason. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Deshaun Brown. This is the podcast, New Equals Reason. In a world where the unknown keeps us learning daily together, we journey into the new. It equals the reason to have a conversation about it. If we all plant good seeds today, our food for thought for tomorrow will be plentiful for the future. On this episode, I want to talk about today's youth in sports versus virtual reality. When I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, you lived outside, you went outside, you played outside. Yeah, we had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, sports, but you ran in to watch a game or a TV show, and then you came back outside to show off what you just saw, practice some new moves. If you played football, basketball, baseball, and you lived outside with your friends, cousins, or you just played by yourself. In today's world, they have virtual world where they stay on tablets, play video games for days. And I try to understand from their perspective, how can that be something you can get caught up in? But I guess it's more of a false reality. Me, I grew up in a competitive time where everybody was just competitive at all levels. It was just what everybody was doing, didn't want to lose at anything. Cards, board games. I mean, eating food was a competition if you were around the right people. Now, these kids, they come off more emotional when you ask them things that for us were competition level things, and you just kind of wonder, where did everything change? Now granted, there's correlations of, crime and kids missing, and you can't just be outside all day like you used to because of the nature of how the world's taking a major turn. But at the same time, you don't see kids outside that much when you ride around, going to work. These kids have technology that I guess looks real life. I've heard of games like Call of Duty. You still got Madden. You still got the NBA games. And we have some coworkers that play video games and talk about how realistic they are, and how they play with their friends. And I guess virtual reality is the new outside for this generation or these times. Even people that grew up in the 90s that played Nintendos, and we called gamers. They have turned into real virtual reality, technology gamers. I have friends that play video games a lot, and they tell me about the games, and I really don't understand how they play them every day, all day. But I grew up with family that was winner stay up, so obviously I didn't win a lot. I don't own a game system because I couldn't really get into it. I love basketball games, but I wouldn't play that every day, all day. And now, with the way technology is getting so big and the way that these gaming systems are coming so virtual in real life, you're seeing crimes being blamed on video games. School shootings being blamed on video games. And it's hard for me to understand how a game can take you into a false reality, but I didn't really play to those levels. I didn't entertain myself with the remote. I was more of I'm going to get out here and do this so I can show people how I do things. And 2020, with The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary, that explains a lot of like the 90s, the drive, the games that you seen him play, the players that played when he played. They were doers, and you had to go out and just embarrass somebody on the court, on the football field. We had players like Deion Sanders, Barry Sanders. Players you just had to watch, had to have their shoes, had to see every game, had to see the big plays, because everybody didn't grow up with cable and have ESPN, so we had to watch the game or hope the local news played it. And now with this technology, everything's at your fingertips. I can go back and watch plays from the early 80s. Stuff you only wished you could watch as a kid when I was younger. And the video games, the technology they have, at your fingertips. It's changed so much. My daughter has tablets. She's watching anything she can wants at any time. She can download a game in seconds. You don't have to wait and go buy it. You just download it. Pay a small fee, or you can pay the whole gaming fee and just play at any time of day, any day of the week. And to know that that's going to go into their schoolwork after this coronavirus, meaning the technology that they use for gaming systems, and to advance these games will probably be used more into developing a way for schoolwork to be done on a virtual route in case of anything else were to happen. So now these kids are going to get caught up deeper and deeper into a fantasy world, is what I call it. May not be the right terminology, but when I think about it, that's how it makes sense in my head. And I hope these kids can be smart about how they get caught up in this, because with this time off, I know it's hard for parents to keep kids focused on schoolwork for 8 hours, especially when you're working. You've been out of school long enough that you don't really remember it, so you just trying to, get through the day, and it gives these kids more time to play these games and get caught up more and more in the virtual reality of it. That down the road there's going to be more and more of this because of the virus, which keeps kids at a false reality, and it kind of makes them antisocial, that when they get out in the real world and you have these jobs, that you're hearing a lot about kids not wanting to work, and they're not making it because they're not used to interactive conversation and dealing with emotion on a level of someone standing there. You can't just reset a work day 4 hours in. You can't just go home, power it back on, and start over after you've already clocked in. And me being 36 now, I'm hearing more of parents who have 18-year-olds that, don't really want to do much. And the concern is starting to be there because they feel like these kids are getting lazy. All they want to do is video game, stay in the house, and you try to find a way to motivate them. And not all kids are, stuck in the virtual world to where they can't function and get out and have meaningful jobs and go to school. But I think for people a little bit older, you think they're missing the friendships and the experiences with friends, or just, being outside where things happen that, created good memories for yourself. And you're hearing about where everything's starting to go. And I hope it doesn't make a turn to where it feeds into everything being a virtual reality. Because these kids nowadays, you've already seen a small sample of them not going to school for 2 months, when that's the length of the summer. So they're already missing friends. So now you're talking anywhere from 4 to 5 months of no interaction with their friends. What setbacks do they have? And it may be none. It may be a lot. They may pick right back up. But it's sad that, they don't have the time, or you see them and it's like they don't even realize what's going on at this time, to go, man, if only I could play with my friends today, or, maybe see them. Yeah, they have FaceTime, they have Zoom. But for now, it's like these kids don't really care. It's like, I'll just, play my game and go on. I know back when I was growing up, if you didn't see friends for a couple of days, you were knocking on doors, begging parents to call. You're going crazy. trying to get outside, ask people have they seen, what's going on with them. And now, as I watch my daughter, for an example, it's like no big deal. Haven't seen my friends. And you just hope that that's not the way the world starts to go with how this virus has affected things. I want to thank you for tuning in to my podcast, New Equals Reason. I'm your host, Deshaun Brown. Conversation is key to communication. So let's keep the conversation going until the next time. Thank you.